Welcome in former Pennsylvania Democratic Congressman Conor Lamb. Welcome, Congressman. Is the talk, do you think, gone for now among Democrats about removing Biden from the ticket?
Well, it might be changing a little. I know that there's a letter going out from some of my colleagues in the House, former colleagues, about this whole plan to kind of rush or move up the actual nomination of President Biden. And, many of the people that I think are supporting that are the ones who have expressed concerns. And so the conversation has certainly shifted. I'm not sure where it's going, though.
A couple of headlines. One on the item you just mentioned, that came from Axios, I believe, in their report, saying that the DNC plans to kind of run out the clock, is the way they put it, for Biden. To your point, maybe that's angering some congressional Democrats, getting the nomination in early. They say to ensure he's on the ballot, which would likely happen anyway, so they don't really buy that. Second one, New York Times. Adam Schiff, these were interesting comments attributed to the congressman, warning of a wipeout, he says, for Democrats if Biden stays in the race. Of course, Schiff's now running for Senate out in California. What would you say to that wipeout?
Well, I think it's a mistake for elected officials and party leaders to be playing the role of prognosticators in public. That's the job of pundits and the kind of people that you have on your show who are not elected officials. I think our role is to provide leadership to the party and also to help the party appeal to the broader public, all of the people who vote for us sometimes, but not all the times. And that means we need to be talking about the issues they care about in their lives. They're not asking us to predict the election.
That was your old job, but now you are one of those prognosticators in an odd way, right? So
I guess so. I don't want to admit it, but yeah.
Do you think he can win, though?
I do. Yeah, no, I think, look, there are two records at stake here at the end of the day. And I think the contrast between President Biden's record and President Trump's record is the difference between night and day, and that is being lost maybe this week because of the horrible thing that happened to President Trump over the weekend. But it won't be lost in the course of the next 4 months. And it's our job to make sure it isn't.
The horrible thing, that assassination attempt. Do you have any thoughts on that yourself? I mean, I know you represented. I remember I covered your campaign when you won out in the Pittsburgh suburbs, that area. So any thought, what went through your mind the last few days, being from that area and that state?
It's horrible to think that a guy who lived probably not 10 minutes from my front door would attempt such a heinous and serious crime. It's horrible to think how young he was and how radicalized he must have became. It is such a product of the current moment, meaning it's not the fault of one side or the other. It is just people are, I don't want to say they're taking politics too seriously, because politics are serious, but they're allowing themselves to become radicalized, unable to see the humanity in people on the other side. That's another way in which I think political leaders have failed, because they're not really demonstrating the kind of good judgment and civility that they should. It's one way, in which I hope the Democratic Party is confident enough in itself to act differently than the way President Trump and the Republican Party has. I think President Biden's comments and Governor Shapiro's comments were spot on when they, expressed concern for President Trump, and they attempted. Actually, Governor Shapiro spoke with the victims. President Biden wasn't able to because they wouldn't talk to him. But that's what I like to see is that recognition of our common humanity.
What about the security around there? I mean, you've been to events like this, political events, throughout your career. It's different for a member of Congress, obviously, than it is for a former president, and the levels are different throughout the political spectrum. But what about the inability to secure that building? I know we just had a report. We have our Brian Enton, who's working on this out there, from a source close to the Butler Township Police, says the local officers were surprised, this is how they're putting it, that they were assigned to have partial responsibility for the outside perimeter, especially since there were tall buildings, clear sight lines right towards the president. Now, I know from covering Trump especially, oftentimes you see local authorities having some responsibility outside the perimeter. But the fact that it was this close, 150 yards or less, what do you make of the security failure?
I mean, it strikes me as the kind of thing that in my current day job as a plaintiff's attorney, I would call malpractice, and I would sue on behalf of the victims of it, because the Secret Service clearly had a duty to protect at least the president. They had this shooter in their sights. I mean, it looks pretty clear that the counter sniper could see the shooter when he lifted his head from the scope, especially. And yet they somehow made a decision not to secure the building, and it appears that they may have even hesitated on taking the kill shot. So that's just bad government. That's bad performance of what your job is, and there needs to be a thorough investigation.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.